The Dow and S&P 500 finishing the week at new highs. Despite those Russia headlines, critics say are a new low for the White House. Gary B., you say that history shows a booming market and an economy could determine if President Trump survives or not.
Exactly. Look, I think the best example is there's two, Bush the second and Clinton. The Clinton was mired in scandals, and we had such a great economy despite him and because of him, with the internet stuff and stuff like that. The market was rising. You couldn't dislike the guy just because of that. Bush was well loved, and then he was like the most hated president at the end, and people said, oh my gosh, all his policies involving us, all this wars. It's because we entered a recession right near the end of his term. Look, if the stock market keeps up and Trump can do anything, even if it's staying out of the way and solving government dysfunction to get this economy roaring, that's what people care about. They care about, do they have money in their paycheck? Do they have a job? Can they go home after work and have a beer, play softball with their friends, and watch a Monday Night Football? They don't care about this politics stuff.
Right.
Solve the economy. That will take care of the stock market. Things will be booming.
But, Lee, if you go back to the 70s, rotten economy and a rotten stock market under Watergate, it was down about 17.5% right before Nixon resigned.
I mean, look, controversy is not always good for the markets, but we have seen in controversial times that the markets have increased in other situations. The bottom line is this. I think the markets are looking good right now because things are trading on earnings. It's not on the promise of tax reform or health care happening anymore. We've heard one analyst after another say that the earnings are going to hold. If we don't get these things done specifically, if we don't get corporate tax reform done, the market's not going to be able to hold. Jobs aren't going to be hold. And what do people vote on? The market, on jobs, on this promise. And if they don't start to feel it, they're not going to come through for them the second time.
John?
I think history will tell you that controversy does not affect the markets literally at all. You look at Andrew Johnson, Bill Clinton, both impeached. The markets were both up during that impeachment and afterwards. You look at Iran-Contra, the market was up during that. You look at Watergate, as you mentioned, but that had to do more with the Arab oil embargo, with the market going down, than it did Richard Nixon resigning. With scandals with presidents don't necessarily affect the market, but the market does help get presidents reelected. Americans vote with their pocketbook, and as long as they have jobs and the market is doing well, President Trump will be sitting in a very favorable spot.
Well, Jones, let me phrase it like this. Could a weaker economy actually get stuff done down in Washington, D.C. that would ultimately be better for everybody?
I'd like to think they need an element of panic to actually get something done. Maybe that would help us get tax cuts through if we actually had a serious problem. Everyone was worried about getting reelected. But the reality is it's hard to look back in the past because, like with Nixon, he was opening up China for trade, and we're talking about adding tariffs. So you can't really say, well, his scandal was bad for the market. Now it's not, because he was doing positive things for the economy. There was also a lot of negatives going on beyond the scandal with oil and inflation, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know the parallels. To me, I'm looking at it more like it's the 2,000 or 3,000 Dow points we're not getting because we're not doing tax reform. We're not improving things at the rate that we should be. Does it mean we're going to collapse if we don't get those? No, the stock market's gone up thousands and thousands of percent with a horrible tax code that's only gotten worse and more complicated. So it's not like we have to have it to live in America, but it'd be nice. We're wasting an opportunity, and we're probably wasting a little economic growth and improvement, and even higher than we've already gone in stocks.
No, but a strong economy, a decent economy. We have earnings. If you look back the last 12 months, Jessica, are going to be at a record. And then you have a stock market at all-time highs. That's got to be good for President Trump.
It does, absolutely. Going to the conversation that everyone's been having, though, about these presidents in the past and what's happened when they've had controversy, those weren't presidents who ran purely on an economic platform that they were going to be the deal maker. I mean, that's what Donald Trump marketed himself as. That's what the economy thinks is going to happen. That's what the people who voted for him are waiting on. That's what all those CEOs and executives are saying. Yeah, this is the guy who's going to deliver tax reform for us. So I feel like this could be a little bit different. I know that that's going against history, but I think that the economy is more important to this presidency actually than it has been to really any other that I can think of, because of how solely focused on his economic skills President Trump was and continues to be.
Well, so far, we still have investors feeling awfully optimistic based on this last week. Thanks, guys. Cashing in just over an hour from now. Eric, what do you guys have coming up?
Hi, Dagan saying, "You're fired." Is that President Trump's new plan to stop the leaks and drain the swamp in Washington, D.C.? Plus, after calling the Russia probe a potential treason investigation and comparing a GOP health care plan to the 9/11 attacks, liberal lawmakers want Republicans to work with them on health care reform. V. cashing in. We'll see you 11:30.
Thanks, Eric. We'll be watching. But up here first, while Amazon's racking up the sales, more retailers are reeling. Are the days of shopping malls ending?